Hey guys, Prime here. Gonna tell you a story that I've wanted to tell you for quite a while now. It's an Egyptian mythology myth, and we haven't done a story video in a while. So, yeah, seems fitting. So, Shai was the god of destiny itself in Egyptian mythology. The Egyptians believed that everyone had their own Shai, a destiny that made them unique. Shai was credited with the manner of a person's death, as well as how long they'd actually live for. In other words, if you were to die by stubbing your toe or falling onto a train track, Shai would be responsible for sort of knowing that and perhaps even, making it possible. And by extension, was linked with good fortune as well as bad. Some Egyptians believed that a person's fate could not be changed, whilst others believed that Ammon had the power to alter destiny and even grant a person with more years to live. One story explains that a king and queen longed for a son in Egypt. The king's grief drove him to prayer, and that night his queen would give birth. When it came for the child to be born, 7 Hathors declared that the prince was destined to be slain by either a dog, a snake, or a crocodile. The people wasted no time in telling the king of this fate, and his majesty set to work. As any loving and perhaps misguided parent might do, the king saw it fit to lock his son away within the palace, and all animals were decreed away from the palace grounds. One day, the prince climbed to the top of the palace and spotted a man with a creature he'd never seen before. When he inquired about the animal, he was told that it was a dog and wanted one just like it. As the prince grew older, he pleaded with his father to let him roam outside the palace, and said that his fate was in the heart of God. Thanks to some other business, it was agreed that the prince could leave, because what sort of life was he going to have inside the palace grounds anyways? But not without arms and his trusty dog companion. He followed his heart north and lived off the game of the desert. He arrived at Naharina, whose chief had not been given any children save for one daughter. She was locked away in a house with 70 windows, so it was pretty tall. The chief made a proposition that any man who could reach his daughter's window could be her wife. When the prince rode by, he spotted many climbers trying their hand at it. With them explaining the story as to why they were doing this, the prince told them his own story and joined them. I should mention that some of these climbers were adorned with things that would be befitting meeting the chief's daughter, perfumes, anointed feet, that sort of thing. So yeah, the prince reached the princess's window and she kissed him upon his arrival. The father was ecstatic before our prince explained that he was considered a fugitive, which naturally didn't sit right with the chief. I should also mention that he's only considered a fugitive because his actual mother died and his father remarried. She bore new children and came to hate our prince. Eventually, through flattering the right people and the princess's threats of offing herself should she be parted with her prince or should he be slain by her father's men, the two marry and continue traveling. Now, I'm sure you're probably seeing the princess as a bit clingy, but consider that it was actually ordained by the gods as far as she was concerned that whoever she was to marry, that was what the gods wanted. So she took this very, very seriously. Some time passed, and the prince tells his wife of the fate that he's been cursed with. She instructs him to slay his dog, but as the prince raised the pup himself, he refused. As such, his wife refused to let him travel alone. They traveled to another part of Egypt, near to a river, that hosted a crocodile. The beast would roam around the town that was near to the prince, but a mighty man was tracking the crocodile. From time to time, he would capture or bind the thing, but he'd have to do this several times per month for some reason. Perhaps the crocodile escaped, perhaps it was freed by someone else, but we'll get to something that will be close enough to that. Our prince would make a habit of napping just outside his house. His wife would fill a bowl of milk and lay it by his side. A curious serpent left its home in search of food and threatened to bite down on our hero. His wife sat by him and watched whilst the servants fed the milk to the snake. The snake drank the milk until it was drunk, then lay on its back, prompting our prince's wife to pierce the snake as many times as she could with her dagger. Her husband awakened in confusion and surprised, and she said, "Behold, thy God has given one of thy dooms to thy hand. He will also give 3 others. The prince then sacrifices the snake and praises the gods. Following that, the prince takes his dog on a walk, and they happen upon a certain river, which he then enters behind his dog. the crocodile appeared and stated that he was the boy's doom. And then the rest of the papyrus is apparently destroyed or unfound, and that's where the story ends. You could probably take from that the boy dies, and that's that, which means that one of the fates actually happened and he dies. Or you could consider that the dog had him drowned, or perhaps both the dog and the crocodile get him killed there. Or perhaps the moral of the story is that his faith in the gods will protect him through anything, and even from other gods, and that you only need to pray to the right god, I suppose, or just respect the right god enough and they'll help you out. I suppose in this case that would be Ra, considering the fact that the specific god that his wife mentions when she said that her marriage was ordained by the gods, I'm paraphrasing but you get the point, was Ra. So perhaps Ra's actually protecting him, but we'll never know because the papyrus was destroyed or damaged and we don't know what happened to the ending, so I don't have the ending for you. I'm not sure, but either way, that's the end of the story. It's kind of sad that there's no actual concrete canon ending, but it is what it is. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Till the next one, have a very good day, I've been Prime, and I'll see you in a few. Bye bye.